So next, we're officially launching the We Stand Together mini manifestos, local calls to action that highlight shared values, unity and practical steps we can take as individuals and organisations to challenge hate wherever it appears. Now, this builds upon the Northern Ireland Hate Crime Manifesto Victim Support launched last June, building mini manifestos in local areas to tackle local issues. So Victim Support has facilitated 2 Open College Network OCN Level 3 accreditation programmes to date in Mid-Ulster and South Belfast, with 2 more planned in Antrim and Newtonabbey and Causeway Coast and Glens, and they're coming up soon. So if you or your organisation would like to avail of the training, please do get in contact with Victim Support today, and they will be more than happy to assist in your local area. So firstly today, we have the Mid-Ulster group, in which this training was delivered as part of the Mid-Ulster Council's wider Sanctuary Partnership Programme with STEP NI. And I'd like to firstly invite up Rennie Finnegan and Eileen Brown from the Mid-Ulster group to say a few words and to discuss the mini manifesto they have developed for their local area. So I'm really greatly to welcome you up. Thank you. Thanks. So, oops. Oh, you're going up that way. I thought that as well. It's not easy. Thanks.
Thought I'd spare the time back to jump
Yeah.
up.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll just.
Hello, I'm Eileen, and I was part of the group that did the training in Mid-Ulster through the South Tyrone Empowerment Programme. And I'd like to say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be part of the group. Talking about my experience, it was intense. It really was, but highly collaborative in the group that we were there. And we were provided with a real vital space for very difficult but very necessary conversations. There were conversations we needed to have. It was both challenging, but it was also very inspiring. It reaffirmed that there is an urgent need for a unified, actionable strategy here. From the programme, there were 2 things that struck me very forcibly, which I felt needed to be improved and which is really part of our manifesto. The first was education and prevention. I think integrating a mandatory anti-prejudice and bystander intervention came across really strongly for me. And this could be rolled out into schools and workplaces where it will equip people with skills to challenge and prevent hate crime before it happens. The other issue that I felt very strongly about was victim-centred support. We need to ensure in the justice system and support services that they are truly accessible, that they're trauma-informed and they're fully resourced. Victims must feel safe, believed and fully supported throughout the whole process. And my hope for the future, it's a high bar, but I think we can do it, is a society that's free from hate, prejudice, hostility, and it eradicates all of those, and we all have and develop a universal respect for stronger communities and with resilience and cohesion to empower victims of hate crime. Thank you.
Well, needless to say, I'm Renee. And in being asked to say a few words about our time together, I think it's important to acknowledge the value in STEP and Mid-Ulster Council facilitating the training for us, and to Michael, he just brought a wealth of knowledge and expertise that we really needed to engage with. The course, there were moments of rupture, lots of moments of rupture, because we had some very difficult conversations, but like Eileen says, they were conversations we needed to have. Hopefully, yeah, there was some repair done as part of that training course, but it is fair to say that the value that I think for those who are not here, I feel I can say this on their behalf, that the value in us being able to be given that space to do this, yeah, it was invaluable, actually. In terms of commitments, to me, the commitment that I feel resonated with me the most is one of challenging misinformation and fear. You know, I think building confidence in communities to be able to talk across the divide, that's what we need more of. We don't have enough of that. This is where the myths and the misinformation festers, and there's a complete breakdown within communities. Nobody's countering the silence, to speak on behalf of people who are being affected by hate crime. And as we're hearing already, it's exponentially increasing. So challenging misinformation and fear, I think, it's a big commitment that hopefully we will see some deliverance on. My second commitment that I wouldn't do any justice to my time and contribution to the course is to keep asking who isn't here. You know, even just looking around the room this afternoon, I think it would be fair to say who isn't here. Why don't we have more voices present of those who are most affected by hate crime? If we don't ask who isn't here, how do the unrepresented ever get to have any input in what we do going forward? So in terms of going forward, my hope has to be that we would find some common unity within Northern Ireland. Because without it, we face quite a stark future in terms of overcoming the realities of hate crime. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Renee and Eileen. It is so important to hear that feedback from local communities, and also to know that local communities have been given that vital space and time to have those very, very difficult conversations. As Rennie says, you know, there needs to be moments of rupture, very, very difficult conversations in order for progress to be made. But the fact that those conversations are taking place and that people are asking who isn't here shows that we are going to get movement, and that there is challenges being laid down in order to counter the silence and the misinformation. And the fact that that is going on at local level in areas like Mid-Ulster is very hopeful. So I would now like to invite up Michael O'Hara from the Community Restorative Justice Ireland and the Belfast PCSP, and Brian Armstrong from Northern Ireland Alternatives, two powerhouses on the ground who participated in the South Belfast training, to say a few words. Two very significant organisations working together on the ground, and I will leave you with the thought that I am fascinated to hear what your response has been and what your thoughts are on the anti-immigration racial riots that we have seen over the past 2 summers. So I'm going to leave it to your on-the-ground expertise. Thank you.
I think I should go second then. I would say maybe myself and Brian are probably two different sides of the peace line, but two sides of the same coin, really. It's been my pleasure to participate in this training in, I think it was February of this year, and that's where I got to meet Brian. So, we learn from each other. I'm actually a West Belfast native, but I work up in North Belfast, and I spent 40 years in the aircraft industry in East Belfast, so a bit of a view of all the areas. For me, the training, number one, was excellent. Not because it was common sense, because a lot of it was, but because to me, important things are making networks, and building relationships and building capacity, and that's what the training did. It was a kind of workshop environment, so we had people from different community groups working together, different sides of the spectrum, working together to come up with local solutions for local people. Now, ours was South Belfast focused. I didn't know a lot about the issues in South Belfast, but one word that I have to say I learned, and I never heard of it before, was gentrification. And that gentrification, to me, was a big problem in South Belfast, and Brian will articulate that more. But it was something that talks about how communities, can be overwhelmed by more affluent people moving in and changing the whole landscape. And it's something I never thought of, particularly in the Sandy Row area of Belfast. So that Brian will tease out further, but it was very interesting for me. I, in terms of participating in the process, I have issues along where I would say is a priority is the low level of hate crime reporting. And, and even then, when it comes to reporting it, the outcomes, I don't know if the PSNI are here today, but, the guys are struggling with outcomes. So there's big challenges for all of us. We debated, should there be something like local hate crime reporting areas? Who would be, where would they be? Leisure centres, community centres, libraries, whatever. How do we make that easier? How can that happen? To me, the follow on that could be creating hate crime ambassadors. Now where, to me, victim support have led by example here. They're leading the way, and we need to put as much energy into victim support and the structures as we can. So there are a couple of ideas that we have been debating and have come up with. So we'll keep those conversations going. Everything is work in progress. For a number of things here, and I heard it mentioned today as well, is the rise of these so-called citizens journalists, I think is the word now, and I don't know where they came from, but they're becoming very prominent. They're becoming very much on social media, and they're really challenging, particularly the PSNI, in terms of demanding their rights and coming on very strong. And for me, I want to know how to myth bust that and how to build my capacity, and knock that back. So we have done, as part of the training, the bystander, how to be an active bystander, how to call out people, and it's not easy. And we did the role playing, so, I found it very difficult, even just to say, and this incident on a bus, and how would you react? So do you directly intervene? Do you do something by causing a diversion? How do you handle it? So the training gives you that sort of capacity and gives you the opportunity to see what it's like in real life, So I think that more of that, more people participating, as we're saying, that those training programs are open now, and hopefully we can build community capacity in that way. If I'd one thing to say to leave with one thought, it would be the judge was very eloquent in his. I feel like I know the judge, although I've never met him. First thing I'd done for CRJI was answer the very large consultation process that existed. And since then, I've been I've had my interest and my knowledge in terms of hate crime is growing. But he said when Senator Mitchell was here, he was astounded that still in a divided society that Catholic children go to Catholic schools and Protestant children go to Protestant schools. And in Northern Ireland, I think that's 6% of the population of children is integrated education. So it's food for thought. I think the judge is right. Where we start is with the young people, okay? And if we were all living, working together, I think, we'll crack the issue. Thank you.
Suppose I have the joys of going last, so it's always most difficult when you're going to go last. I spoke to Michael this morning and says, what is it that you're going to say, Michael, to everybody? He says, I'm going to take about 30 seconds. So he took a bit longer and didn't leave me with a whole lot to say. So what I am going to do is, rather than having something scripted, I'm going to talk from the heart, based on the experiences that I have and the work that I've been involved in with alternatives for a long time. So, building trust between communities. Probably a question to us all. I want you to take 30 seconds to think about this. When you say the word community, what do you mean? In Northern Ireland, what we mean by community is very much around community of identity and community of place, and they're entangled within each other. So how do we start building trust across different communities so we're able to be in a position to repair harm? That's a question to us all. How do we navigate a way out of our current structures around how we see community? Because if you go into areas like South Belfast, Sandy Road, Donegal Pass and the Market, when them communities speak about community, they mean the 6 or 7 streets. They don't mean wider Belfast. And I'll give you an example. I'm originally from Mishankle Road, the same sort of identity as Donegal Pass. I've lived in Donegal Pass for 22 years. I am still seen as a blow-in within Donegal Pass. So I am not from that community. We were doing a genealogy workshop last night, looking at the history and the roots and connections to families. Most people who were at the session did not originate from Donegal Pass, but they still call me a blow-in. So again, there's the understanding of fabric within communities. So how do we build the trust across different communities so we can start to look at repair and harm to build a community that we all want to belong to and be proud of? So tapping into the training, building that network of people who are like-minded to have them difficult conversations in is the way that we can progress Northern Ireland forward. So that's all I'm going to say.